Greetings everyone, a warm welcome to you all. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Hey Pisces, this is your reading for October 2018. I'm doing this reading around about the time of the September full moon, which for the northern hemisphere is the harvest moon. It's a full moon in Aries and it has the number 2 associated with it, which is about partnerships and relationships and balance. It's quite a nice time to be doing a reading like this, so to tap into that lunar energy will be quite nice and special. We are using the Morgan Greer cards, 7 cards from there, and then an oracle card at the end. Now before we start with the shuffling, I did some intuitive work for you, and you guys got Archangel Michael, who came in to leave some messages. He talks about moving on and rising above. Cutting cords from any negative situation, especially relationships. Some of you may find new relationships and directions, including possibly jobs for some of you. So that sounds like a whole lot of new energy and new beginnings coming in. Let's see what the cards are actually going to say when we do a little bit of shuffling. So this is for Pisces for October 2018. Seven cards in all. So the first card is your current situation. That's a nice card to get. The second card is your obstacles card. That's the Page of Swords. So that was the Star, Page of Swords. Your third card is your aspirations. That's the Ten of Swords. Your fourth card is what needs to be awakened. That is the Six of Cups. Your fifth card is what lies behind you or your past. That is the King of Swords. Your sixth card is the next stage. And your seventh card is what will be or the outcome. So we have a few major arcanas in your reading, and they've aligned themselves here in this line across and vertical. So the Star, the World, and the Hanged Man. You have the 2 court cards, a cup, and a couple of swords. There are 3 swords as well. So let me just move this so that we can see more clearly all of the cards for the reading. So if we start with the first one, which is your current situation around you, and we were talking about the lunar perspectives or feelings, we have got a lot of energy with the Star and the cosmos and that celestial energy happening around you right now. The Star is a very benevolent card. It's one of the more positive, I guess, of the major arcana ones, and a lot of people love to see it come into their readings. It talks about, in my mind, these little stars in the background are often what I call guardian angels, if you like, or celestial helpers. So I often feel when the Star is around, there feels as though there's a degree of external help coming in for you. Now, you can find this by connecting with your spirit guides, your archangels, or angel helpers. So it's often about having communication with them, so spending time talking to them or asking for their help or advice. So if any of you are in a quandary in life, or you're stuck in a situation, or you're feeling doubtful about something, call upon them and ask for their assistance and ask them to show you signs or ways forward. Now you have to become a little bit intuitive about how you interpret the messages you might receive, because they can come in many different ways. They can come through dreams, they can come through synchronistic events, they can come through things like white feathers in your pathway, or butterflies alighting on you or flying past you. They can come via conversations that you overhear between other people that sound amazingly similar to a situation you're trying to work through. So it's about connecting with your intuitive gut instinct abilities, and Pisces, you're very, very good at that anyhow. The other thing with the Star, it does tend to brighten any other cards that it is around. So for instance, the obstacle card, it will brighten that up. It will also brighten up and lessen any energies of, say, the Ten of Swords as well. So it's a positive card in as much that it lifts up the feeling, it lifts vibrations, it gives off this beautiful light of the golden star. So remember that it can help lift your vibrations for the month. If you're feeling down even, or like flat or out of energy, ponder the energies of the star and connect with it and ask them to bring that energy in and lift you up. The other thing it does talk about, quite obviously, is balance, because she's perched on the side of some water, pouring jugs of probably water into the grass and into a pond area. She's also naked, so there's a degree of freedom within the card, and there's also a degree of sexual interpretation that goes on. So sometimes we find this can be a time where we need balance around areas of that in our life. We also can need dietary balance, bringing more water into our bodies in particular, and utilizing water as a detoxifying agent or a clearing agent, or to make yourself lighter both physically and emotionally. So there are a lot of different wonderful interpretations that we can lift up with the star. It just depends where you're personally feeling the energy's going. I do also note that she is outdoors in a beautiful setting, so possibly spending time outdoors in nature. Some of you might be going on a trip that has this around it during this time, and that you can find, the feeling of bliss and euphoria and connection and heavenly design when you're out in nature with this sort of energy and vista. So I feel some of you might be spending time outdoors in areas just like this. It could be a trip, or it could be something pleasant, just like taking a break, getting some meditation, reconnecting with something. If we come to the card that was your obstacles card, this is the Page of Swords. The pages often are messengers in life, so they're delivering something to us. Now, because he's very intellectual and he's often about communication, he can sometimes be delivering written or verbal communication, sometimes documents that need signing or reading over, or contracts. So this can often pertain to things like the contract for a new job or a new business, or purchasing something big, or a house, or a legal document that you might be required to sign. It could even be like a prenuptial agreement for a marriage. It could be a court of law documentation. It could be your accountant's books or anything along those lines, or the tax man as well. But because it's an obstacle, it feels as though perhaps what you're expecting to have happen, or you're waiting on in terms of communication, or reading something, or receiving it in the mail, or signing it, or hearing from someone who you've been waiting to hear from, it's just being held up. Or there could be some complications with it, or it could be that it turns out it's not quite exactly how you thought it was going to be. So there might be a message in here about the message that you need to really read it very carefully. There could be some hidden inference about something that, if when you sign a contract for the purchase of something new and it tells you to read the fine words or the fine print, that's such a con anyhow, because most of us don't. I'm getting the feeling for you guys, read the fine print. That's what I'm being told. So if you are thinking of signing up for anything, check it, because there might be something in there that comes to bite you in the backside later on down the track, and you'll say, damn it, I wish I hadn't done that. So just be very cautious and make sure that you are checking whatever it is that you're thinking that you're getting into. And this could be especially for jobs. It might be if you're signing up for a potential new job, or a pay rise, or a promotion, that there's a bit of a kickback that goes with it. But anyhow, let's move to your third one, which is your aspiration. Now, it seems a really odd card to have as an aspiration card, this Ten of Swords, because who would want to aspire to that? So what we have to do is track back a little bit and think, well, from the Ten of Swords, we know that we're involving ourselves in change, and it's quite dramatic change and traumatic. So those two words go together. It kind of gives us the feeling that we haven't seen something coming, that it has been quick and unexpected and bowled us off our feet, for want of a better word, because there we are, flat on the ground. It also pertains to me that there's a little bit of potentiality here for physical pain, especially down the back, through the shoulders, neck and head area. Sometimes I even find that this can be suggestive of an operation or the need to free up those parts of the body in terms of either massage or healing or something like physio or an osteopath or spinal surgery like fusion or something along those lines. So if you're aspiring to this, maybe you're thinking, I really want a sudden change to come about, to free me up, to let me become more expansive, to give me back my energy, to take me into a new space. There might even be some people around you that you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if I really want these people in my life anymore. Can I fully trust them? Is there something they might have done in the past that was semi-doubtful and you've always had a bit of a not sure feeling about them? So this could be partly involved in this whole aspiration, that it might be like a hidden feeling or thoughts that you're keeping to yourself and perhaps not even focusing on, but it could be in the background that you're just wanting some freedom from either situations or a health thing or some people or relationships around you. So sometimes when we do focus on these type of background thoughts and we connect with them, we can actually create the energetic connection for things to start happening. So I guess it's up to you guys what you want to do about it, but certainly freeing yourself up physically from anything that's been disabling you a little bit, especially in terms of pain, could be really beneficial. And there are many, many ways of looking at relief for pain with all the alternative medicines and healing modalities we have nowadays. But let's come down to your fourth card here, which is what needs to be awakened, and we have the Six of Cups. So the Six of Cups is looking back into the past most often, and it's like the feeling of childhood innocence or happiness. If you were lucky enough to have a childhood where you remember happy times and just being that innocence and feeling fond friendships and without judgment and not having any expectations, that's what this card's energy gives off. So it's a beautiful card in many ways because it's the essence of innocence of love. And if this is what needs to be awakened, perhaps it's time for you guys to enjoy things a bit more. Like we said with this card, to get out in the open and really connect with nature, flowers, beautiful essences, the sunlight, happy days, something along those lines. It could be also that this is a time for you to reconnect with the past in terms of re-establishing friendships or connections. These could be long lost friends or relatives. It could be connecting with an ex-lover as well, because this card often seems to represent that. Now sometimes these ex-lovers can come back and you do a healing, like enabling any animosity that might have been connected with a breakup or a separation. You enable that to be healed, and that doesn't mean you have to get back together, but there's a more positive synergy between the two of you, which is kind of like clearing karma in a way. And other times it actually does enable a getting back together at the lover's level. So there's a lot of different possibilities again when this card turns up. It can also reference sometimes going back to where you lived as a child on a holiday as such like, or going back to say a school reunion, or going to a wedding from relatives and people like that you haven't seen for years and years. So it's all about reunions and regeneration and love and connections and childlike enthusiasm, honesty, openness and non-judgmentalism. So it's a lovely card for you guys to have as your awakening position. The fifth card is what lies behind you, and we see this guy looking into the past, the King of Swords, and he's often an air sign person and often male and a little bit older in age. He can be sometimes someone like an accountant or a lawyer or a legal representative or even a doctor, or like a taxman or a policeman. So if he's in your past, it could be that you have dealings with him, or that you did have dealings with him. He may have been very supportive or helpful or important at the time. He may have been someone who set something up for you so that you could progress further. He could also be an ex-lover that comes that you're thinking about or comes onto the scene. He could be a sibling or a parent or a grandparent that you haven't seen in a while. These two feel as though they could be connected in one way or another. So perhaps that King of Swords might be initiating a get-together, or you think about him and you make contact with him. He is often that air sign energy. He's also about the same as his son over here, the Page of Swords, because they're like father and son. They're also about communication, about documentation and signing things. So whether or not these two are linked, like there might have been this documentation in the past and you've signed it, or you're waiting to hear back from potential purchases or business contacts, or trying to format a relationship or business partnership, and you're waiting on this message which is slow in coming. They could be connected in that way as well, because he is from the past. Let's look to this one here, which is the next stage, so what is coming, and this is the World card. It's quite interesting that you guys have got two rather nubile women sitting there semi-naked and naked. So what's up, Pisces? What are you guys thinking about, and what are you up to? They both represent freedom in many ways, and freedom against a lot of things that might hold us back. It doesn't just have to be taking your clothes off. It's a broader sense of reality or visualization than that. It goes beyond the physical. It goes into the spiritual, the mental, the emotional, everything. It's about freedom from restraint of whether it was stuff that's held you back, or fears or phobias, or political restrictions, or community restrictions, or religious restrictions. There's freedom coming. It could even be restrictions from money or relationships. The World is also about an ending of a cycle, because she's been awarded this wreath, you know, and that's the circle which is completed. So the Tens are endings, and the World is an ending as well. The World often signifies that we have gained a lot along the way, that we have learnt to handle things, we've achieved another step in the ladder or a notch in our belt, or however you want to look at it. She holds kind of two scrolls possibly in her hand, and these pertain to information that you can take forward with you as a more learned person at many different levels. She also again does represent sexual freedom and enjoyment, and we know too that this is for the woman listening, I guess, that women are gaining more freedom in many perspectives of life, and especially in the workforce. We're being accepted and as on more of an equal basis as men, and like pay differences are being parried up. We're finding that women's equality is being held with much more respect and dignity, and we're making waves in many areas of life, and these two cards are classical examples of that, if you like. So for some of you, you may find there is some equality coming in your life, for the woman in particular, if you've been in a situation where there's been an inequality. So this could be in your employment sector, or within your relationships, or even within a family. And there is too, of course, to me, when we see the two ladies there with practically nothing on, I do get the feeling that there is some sexual attraction and freedom. So sometimes this can mean that you do have the possibility of meeting someone that you really engage with, and there's like a chemical spark. And if you're not in the position of meeting new partners, you're happy with the one you've got, this might mean a re-ignition of spark, of physical spark between you as well. So those are other possibilities. The World trip also does mean the possibility of going on a literal holiday around the world, literally. So sometimes this can be like your big OE, or leaving home, or moving interstate, or moving to another country, and sometimes this can be because of a job. So that's a really, really big change when you take that concept of the world into that type of focus. And that will apply for some of you, I'm sure, and for others it might be more of the other kind of meanings or feelings of the card that I've already given the energy for. If we look at your final outcome card, which is the Hanged Man, we see here he's also at a crossroads in life. So he's often the preambler for the world, because he's contemplating change. He's saying, what am I doing here where I'm currently at? Should I stay, or should I go left or right, or up or down? He ponders a lot, which is why he is hanging upside down in sort of like a yoga pose. He's quite happy where he is. He's not struggling. If he was struggling, he would be more tortured. But he's feeling relatively confident that he's got the time to assess the situation. And he's also applying quite a lot of thought to it, and a lot of physical capability as well. So the Hanged Man is questioning a lot in life, because this isn't going to be a quick decision. He also often in other cards has a degree of illumination around his head, as if to say, yep, I'm understanding what my next move will be. So when this card comes about, there is a degree of illumination, and it can often be spiritual. So it's not just a card of physical movement, it's further broader than that, and we know it must be because it's a major arcana card. So for some of you, this could mean you're pondering maybe a world trip, and then at the same time you think, well, actually, do I bother coming back home? Or do I expand myself out further? Or do I just learn more about life and the world? Even though you have already learned a lot, this card also involves learning even more, because that's certainly what the next step in life will be, more learning. The Hanged Man can also symbolise a period where things do stall, because he is taking his time. He's not in any rush. So sometimes it can be self-stalling, so we can sort of not put a spanner in the works, but we can slow things down from our own end, because we're not ready to rush into something. We're contemplating it. We're thinking about all the options. We're checking it out. But sometimes we don't realise we're doing that, and we're thinking, well, hurry up, I need an answer. But we're creating the slowdown. And it's often at that higher self, or that galactic or cosmic energy force that's coming in, and we don't necessarily see it all the time. So for whatever paradigm he sits in for you, whether it's the fact that you are contemplating some, massive redirection, change in direction, or whether it's a slowing down of an event that just comes to a sort of slow amble, and you're thinking, oh, hurry up, I need an answer, or I want to go and find this or that, or I want to hear from someone. It's as if there's always a reason, and enjoy the slowing down and look for the hidden reasons why it's slowing. Don't be in a rush to quickly get to the end of either a project or a situation or an event or a destination. Take a moment to be in the now and ponder around and see why it's slowed down and what you need to see right now, and feel into things a bit more. And then you might find the enlightenment that will give you the answer that you were seeking, and make the next move forward more efficient and more in the right direction. He can also pertain to neck, shoulders, back and head pain, a little bit like this one. So some of you might be suffering from headaches or neck pain in particular, shoulders, back pain. That's the kind of physical energy I'm getting from this reading. But there we are, Pisces, another quite intriguing reading with plenty going on. I hope you've really enjoyed that. It's pretty nice to see the messages coming through, and there are a lot in there for you to contemplate for sure. So we'll put these cards away, and we will get out the last card, which is an oracle card from this deck. And these are saints and angels, so we'll just see for Pisces, what would you like to tell them as their last message for October? Faith, and it's a guardian angel for you, which is really nice. I'll zoom it in because these are lovely to see. Faith, guardian angel. I think we saw in the Ten of Swords perhaps, and even with things like the Hanged Man, when we have stalled timing effects around us, that faith is a great way of maintaining positivity or energy that takes you forward. Faith is very, very powerful, and when you have faith in your decisions or your actions or the people around you or the situations, more than likely it moves forward at a better speed, with more positivity, with more light, with more accuracy. So I think you could say faith is a little bit like prayer in many ways. I think they sometimes put the two the two paradigms together. And having faith is such a high vibration. It's trust in the cosmos, it's trust in the celestial helpers in your life, and it's trust in yourself as well. And when you have that, then doubt dissipates, fear dissipates, tension and anxiety, they all disappear, because we have faith that everything will come right, will be right, and we're going in the right direction. So there we are, Pisces. I think that is a lovely way to finish with that beautiful pink angel. Also, the colour pink might be really nice to uplift for the month. Pink is the heart chakra energy as well. Well, green is traditionally, but pink is the colour of love, which connects with the heart. So put some love into that faith, and have faith that all your dreams, desires and aspirations are possible for coming into the future. So thank you again for joining me, Pisces. I love it when you leave your comments. Please sub the channel and push the little bell beside the sub button, and that way you get the uploads when they come through. Check your rising and moon signs and see what messages are there for you as well. Much love, everyone. Namaste.